It's showtime. It is Sunday, 11/9/2025. That's right. It's November 9th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Saturday, Sunday, right here on The Right Mindset with Thomas J. Bellezza. Today, we are going over the Write a Book With Me series. We've been doing this for 43 episodes. Today is the 44th episode. So ultimately, we've been writing for about 44 hours after today is done. That's pretty exciting. I'm super into it and super ready to go in and have some fun. And if you don't know, this has been a series that I have wanted to do for a very long time, and we've been doing it, and it's been nonstop, and we've been getting such great feedback, etc., etc. Let's get to, let's see, let's fill up the screen and get that going. If you don't know, we are writing a book through my process, okay? So the Thomas J. Bellezza writing process. This is only one way of many, if not thousands of different ways to write. So, take from it what you will. But ultimately, I'm showing you behind the scenes of what we've been doing. What I'm about to talk about is just to catch people up who haven't seen this, and this might be your first video jumping on. Ultimately, we will have all these steps, but we have already done 5 steps. Think about it. 43 episodes before this. So it's 43 hours. It took me to brainstorm and character arcs and summaries, then pop it into a short form outline, then extend that outline, and then do the zero draft for all 20-something chapters, right? Now we are currently on organizing plot points and elements. So basically, I'm reading through the chapters, which are zero draft chapter outlines currently, and I'm just taking notes of what I need to seed and play with, and I'm just putting it into a note sheet, which I normally do for all my books. And then from there, we are going to adjust what I found. But right now, we are still on this, so we're going to get into that. Before we start the talk, I'd like to say hi to everybody. Hey, what's up, flowers? Evening, I'm super duper ready to get ready. Ciao, Bella. Salve, mia amica. Hi, everyone. Flowers, Emma. Hello, Beard. Hey, what's up? Hey, welcome. Woo! I'm ready to be serenaded. Sean. What's up? If you don't know, there is indeed a poll. We do a poll every time. So today's poll is, what slows you down the most while revising? And we will talk about this at the end of the hour. Basically, what slows you down most while revising? We have doubting your choices, reworking sentences, re-outlining scenes, and of course, fear of cutting stuff. The fear of cutting stuff. But other than that, we are going to get into it. Hey, morning, good morning, everybody. Hello. All right, let's do it. Boom, bang, zabang, zaboom. And as you all know, please ask questions. I'm happy to answer questions that have to do with what we are working on. And also, if you have questions about your own writing, that's what we're here for. We're here to celebrate and elevate one another. And of course, I am a developmental editor and a writing teacher, so it's like free advice. This is your time and my time. We're having a blast. Hello, SBH. Hello, Emma. All right. If you don't know, that's my process. Let's get to it. These are the standard notes. We've done chapter 1. Oh wait, this is my secondary notes. We did chapter 1, 2, 3. I think we're on 8. I'll be honest. I believe we are on Ocho. Yep, there we are. We are on the Ocho. We are on the Ocho. Ocho. Boop. All right. Do I have to change the settings? No, those look good. All right, here we go. Doubt always slows me down when writing, but I've been pushing through using my brain dump. Excellent. I'm currently rewriting my idea, a superhero space. You had me at superhero, and you won me over with space fantasy. I'm in it to win it with you. That's a fantastic idea and sounds fun. I will say this though, it's good that you're sort of reworking the idea. That's the whole thing. All great writing is rewriting, so I'm glad you're doing that. Doubt always slows me down when writing. We'll talk about that definitely at the end of the hour, but I've been pushing through. I'm glad you're doing the brain dumps. The brain dumps are so powerful because not only does that just get you to go, you know what I'm saying? Like, that stuff can change. You could not use it. You could use it. Whatever the case is. So it's really nice just to get your brain working, you know? Celebrate, elevate. Be right back. Yogurt. I see your Swartz. All right. Hello, Shonda. Hi, Diana. Sean. Hello, everybody. Everyone's good. We got the hellos tonight. Do. We got the hellos tonight. Hello, yogurt. It's Lord. It's yogurt. All right. Hello, Emma. Okay, let's do it. We are reading through. ISB. All right. Laura is working on the ship from last night. I think we actually went over this piece. Did I end here? Authorities show up. Maybe we don't have any notes for this one. The customer is not happy. All right. So this is a good note because remember, when we're writing, sometimes we'll add stuff towards the later chapters, like information. And it's our job to know that information so when we're seeding, we can do it. What am I doing? I'm going to the war. Should be something on the war. Here's the war. War. There you go. You know what? Why don't we do this? Chapter names, change, guns. Here we go. This is all information on the war. Boop. All right. I also want to get. Okay. Laura's planet and the second planet Laura lands on were at war. Ship, you're trying to screw me because your people. Okay, that's good news. Laura's planet lost the war, and then we have the date of 476. So there it goes. All right, that's important. And this is something to keep in mind when you're working on your books. It's okay to just add new information in later chapters because as you're doing your note taking, just be aware of that. Put it into your sheet and say, all right, I need to see this information, however that is, in earlier chapters. And I think sometimes we get lost in the fact that, like, oh, I can't add anything new, or did I talk about this? You know what? Just put it in. When you're outlining, just put information and just create those scenes, create those chapters, just create the outline, get it out. Don't worry if it connects to anything because you have to read through it anyway. Just like if you wrote your book out and all the prose, you're going to have to read it anyway and take notes. So it's the same thing with the outline. I would recommend absolutely taking notes as you should and could. ISB waves. Hello, everyone. Bro, what's up, bro? Welcome to the show. All right, I don't want to work on my ship. They are loud and defensive. Row. Customer doesn't understand. All right. Hey, row. Hey, by the way, does anyone know the band Camelot? I just want to know. I'm throwing it out there. I really like that, but they have a song. It's like, little by little, I come to this point. You ever hear that? No. They have a song called Karma, right? Camelot, do band. I used to listen to them all the time. I actually auditioned for a like one of those whatchamacallits, not the American Idol, but there was like what the hell was the name of it? It was basically like a singing show or whatever. Camelot with a K. Camelot with a K. Good day, Ro. And Anyway, they have a really good. But so I auditioned for this like a singing show like The Voice, but it was something else. And I sang one of their songs, but I sang like a softer song, and I was dressed up as my Telmorna character from my band, so that was even funnier. And then which you know, I thought was exciting. And then the song, by the way, that I sang was "Don't You Cry," and I finished, and the judges got up and they started clapping and everything because it was the preliminary though. It wasn't the you're gonna be on TV and we're gonna audition you through. It was like the preliminary stuff. And the judges got up and they started applauding and everything. They're like, "You want to do another song?" And like everyone else was like, "Wow, it was really good." And then I realized to myself, like, don't do this. And the reason I didn't do it was, A, I was dressed up as a character. I was dressed up as this weird character. But B, I was like, if I do this, am I the guy who's dressing up like a character to sing? And now is it about my voice, or is it that do I become a caricature? So like the artist in me just. But anyway, I told him, I go, you know what? Actually, I don't think give my spot to someone else. That's what I did, and I walked over, and everyone was like, "What's going on?" It's because I was just glad that I got to do it, and then I got some some applause for it, and that's all I needed. That's all I felt. There you go. Plus, like my brain started going, "Why are we in a competition? Like, just it's art, and whatever." That's an aside. I'm sorry. Hey, Hannah, what's up? Wow. Woo! Let's get some applause in there. Welcome. 3,000 words. So I passed my target. Very good. Here, USB. Hannah, celebrate and elevate. Hannah, wave. All right, let's get into it. Anyway, I recommend looking up a comma. I am a king of honor, golden glory. Okay. What is the lines? It's king of glory, but every king must also die. Have I been just and righteous? What is glory? That's a song, Karma. That song is so good too. Anyway, I'm sorry. The band's very good. All right. Authorities show up to the shop. Laura stops what she's doing and getting closer to the thing. The authorities are asking to see. All right. By the way, if anyone's tuning in for the first time ever, this is what a zero draft chapter outline kind of looks like. I bullet point it because I'm creating beats. This is the beat, and then this is the exploration of that beat. And then if it goes in deeper, it's just going deeper into the second beat. And that lets me, if I look at it, so usually I'll look at chapters like this, and I can see the rhythm of the chapter. And right now I know that this one's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 major beats, or 4 major narrative movements, right? And then the longest movement most likely will be this one, the second one, though this one is pretty long too. So it's going to have 2 long movements directly next to each other. So, that's something to think about too as a writer, like looking at the pacing. Because remember, pace is the speed at which information is presented to the reader. Good job, Hannah. All right, I feel this one is done. Let's move on. Boop. 9. Nueve. Laura. All right. I'm just doing this just for runs through the city as the authorities chase after. Oh, what do we got here? I have a villain that I'm currently working on. In chapter 2, he appeared towards the middle of the chapter 1. But I don't want to reveal him just yet. So it's just a shadowy figure. Very nice, Hannah. That sounds fun. It's good. Vague but informative. You're creating mystery. Can't go wrong with that. Laura runs through the city as authorities chase her. Run, Laura, run! All right. And then they're growing in numbers as she tries to make her way through. By the way, again, the 0 chapter outlines are just vague, general broad ideas. I am not writing prose. But if you don't know, if it's your first time coming to this becomes a this becomes prose. I basically would write prose to show this. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Shadowy figures rock. You can't go wrong with a shadow daddy, am I right? Emma, am I right? Am I no? Just me? All right. Do. She sees them coming out of the corners. Boom, 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 boom. Running through crowds. Yes. Shadow daddies. I talk about shadow daddies, by the way, in the in this book right here. You know, your favorite, the book. Everyone, this is the book. I talk about shadow daddies in that book. All right, maybe I make a few ribs or gestural jokes towards the shadow daddies, but in a nice way, in a positive way. All right, Laura ran through a store and out the back. Ooh, there's a lot of action in this. I already know that this is going to be you would think action. See how this is the thing. This is something to pay attention to when you're doing an outline, especially if you're just doing broad general statements. You see how all this action is 196 words for the outline? The reality of it is action sometimes ends up being thicker than dialogue, thicker than prose, and the reason is because you're describing things, you're going deeper into things, you have to create a movement, so it has to move quickly. You have to have like that quote unquote faster pace, and then you have to slow that pace down and go internal, so you got to create that give and take. So action scenes, though, you may look at it and go, oh yeah, like right now, if I look at this chapter, like it's 2 pages, and like, you know, the outline, I'm thinking, oh yeah, no, it could be a whole chapter. But what's going to happen is, as I develop the 0 draft and as I go into the first draft, the actual prose, I will have to allow myself to determine if this chapter needs to be broken up again. And that's something that is so important when writing, is don't be beholden on what you set up. Oh, well, I set this up as one whole chapter with 2 scenes. Serve the narrative. If you have to break it up and let a second scene go to the next chapter, it's okay. Hello, Hannah. Kutos. With all them words. All right. Well, in the building, some of the people that were cruel to her earlier are in this building working their jobs. Ooh, burn. They should be connected to those who hired her. Or the person she... Boop, boop. All right. So, we're going to go to 9. By the way, N-A. See this in earlier chapters. Okay, so right now, what I'm going to do... just do this. And then what I'll do is, when I'm reading through my notes, when I'm done, I'll see this earlier. In fact, I'll do one of these. I might even do one of these. Have not seeded this information yet. You gotta remember, we aren't always going to remember everything, so it's good to leave yourself some notes, but just so I can keep going. Laura, when I see this, I know I don't have to do this, but tries to avoid, and the authorities move around. Shadows tell no secrets. Only the shadow knows what evil lies in the heart of man. I don't know about you, but Alec Baldwin, The Shadow. First of all, the radio show version of The Shadow, fantastic. The comic book, fantastic. That movie is awesome. And it just never got a sequel because it didn't make the money. But I love The Shadow. So the black text is your beat idea, and the red is your notes to yourself. Correct. Correct, my friend. That is 100% accurate. Yeah, the black is the notes, and then is the I want to happen, and then the notes. By the way, the notes can be anything from what I think the emotional truth should be to, something to remind me or nudge me about something or whatever the case is. Yeah, so I like to keep my notes in red, only because again, if I'm looking at this, I see all these notes, and I don't have to remember that stuff because it's a lot of stuff to remember. you gotta remember. You gotta remember it all. Um, but yeah. Oh yeah, and not sure if you've seen the other episodes, but what I was saying earlier is like this sets up the main beat because there should be there's three main beats in this first scene. And how do I want those beats to play out? I create three separate beats, and each separate beat has an own beat. So it's sort of like boom, 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 boom. The Shadow and oh my god, right? Oh, they're so good. The Phantom was supposed to be three movies. Flutterfingers. The Phantom was supposed to be three movies, and it didn't make its money. And it's just so good. Plus Billy Zane. I'm just saying. The Shadow and the Phantom, such good movies. And but this is the thing. I really love the style, the look of those movies. Mention it all, kill it, mention it all. By the way, if there's anything you want me to go deeper into, just remember you could ask. This is not you're not bothering me. I'm here. I implore people to interact. Also to keep yourselves entertained in the things. For anyone who's just joining us, remember there is a poll in the comments section. What slows you down the most while revising? We have doubting your choices, reworking sentences, re-outlining scenes, and then of course fear of cutting stuff. We'll talk about that at the end of the hour. All right, so chapter 9 looks good, but all right, this one's done. Look at that. We're flying through this. We're flying through. Hey, Richard. Oh, Emma. Richard, I shared your Instagram video. Very funny and very supportive. I love seeing stuff like that, just for the record. Anytime, what do we got here? Emma did the developmental edit for me recently, so she slows me down with her numerous yet excellent suggestions. See what you did there. See what you did there. I'm learning how to do zero drifting. I'm glad. That's one of the reasons I really love that I'm doing this, is because I want to show people the different styles and different ways to do certain things. And this way of zero drafting is something that came to me when I was doing screenwriting. So, hello, Richard. It is, Richard's saying it's a vomiting draft, which it is traditionally. I don't look at my zero drafts as the vomiting draft because it is a zero draft. It's a zero draft chapter outline. The vomiting draft for me is technically the short form outline and the extended outline, because that's where I'm just trying to figure out what I want and how the outline, how the narrative is going to be. It's within the zero draft chapter outlines that I'm discovering the flow of the already worked out narrative. So I don't really consider it a vomiting draft per se, because that happens way earlier for me. Way earlier. Richard! Emma! Excellent suggestions, eh? Si, senor. Richard had made a really great post that I had to share on my Instagram. I recommend following not only Emma, but also Richard and myself. Richard did a really lovely thing. When I see people celebrating and elevating other people, he pushed a bunch of authors. I like that he left himself for last, though, because it's the last thing you're gonna remember, boom. But that's the kind of stuff I love seeing on the internet is when everyone's helping. That's why, like, if you go to my Facebook, it's a lot of my stuff, but then it's just like I share people whenever I possibly can, because I really think the community benefits from stuff like that. So, told you I'm good. Woo! Main genre equal romance through arc. Changing genre. Do I put 20 PP romance beats inside 27? That's a great question. And are you talking about 20 PP romance beats based off of the romance structure? If that's the case, I'll put it to you this way. A romance has special beats, it has things that it needs, and those things are going to line up with specific plot points within the 27 plot point outline. But I will say this much. The main or the protagonist's central character arc, right, should get 27 plot points, and each plot point should be a minimum of at least one chapter, a minimum. Secondary or sub arcs or subplots, like those would be 27 plot points too, but they could be like mixed and matched throughout the main narrative. However, what you're asking is main genre equals romance through the act, changing genre. So what you're going to do is you're going to try to figure out what the 20 romance beats are specifically, and then put them into the associated plot points of the 27 plot point outline. I am thinking of doing so even though I'm doing whatchamacallit, this book, bloop, I am thinking of doing like secondary books on it, like, so basically the 27 plot point outline for romance, the 27 plot point outline for fantasy, the 27 plot point outline for thrillers or crime. I'm thinking of doing that for the 27 plot point outline series, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see what the mood I'm in. But I hope that answered your question. I market other people's books better than my own, and that's why we love you, man, because that's what it's about. Community over people going, hey, look at me. I know you've answered before. Could you go over this question again? I have a bad memory and have forgotten what you said. Sure. What's the question? Yes. When someone has finished speaking and they do something which affects the other person in the conversation, where do I write the next about that? John's dialogue ends. John smiled. It caused Peter to vomit. Peter starts to speak. Where does that connection? Okay. You know what? All right, let's do that. Whee! Okay, so you have let's see, you got let me write this out. Something which you have in a conversation, where do I write the next John's dialogue ends all right. And then what is it? Peter. Peter vomits. What does it? And then what's the other thing? Starts to speak. Yeah. Okay, so before I go into this, flowers, let me know if this is basically what you're talking about. If so, I will go into it. If not, I will adjust it. I'm just trying to make sure that this is basically what you're asking. You're saying that John has dialogue, does behavior. So this is an action beat, if anyone's wondering. And then obviously we wouldn't write it caused Peter to do anything, but Peter would do something in response. Peter drew in a long puff of a cigarette. When the dog has to go, the dog has to go. Right. So just let me know if that's what you're talking about, and then I'll explain. I'll go into it. What about doing a 27 plot point outline for Christian fiction? Oh, well, that's something to think about. I mean, Christian fiction would be any genre, but written through the Christian lens. So it's the same thing with romance. Well, romance specifically isn't, but you could write romance in any genre. 27 PP breaks are only really going to slow things down, yeah? Times to lay off the water consumption, yeah? The PP breaks. So I split up sentences and keep each movement. Oh, I love that you're saying it like that. Yes. Yes. So the reason is this is one movement, and yeah, 100. I'm so glad you said it that way. And then this is a second movement. However, he blew out the side of his mouth is connected to the full movement because he takes a long puff of his cigarettes. And when the dog, however, here is a caveat. I'll show you a little trick. All right, so you could do this. You and that dog of yours. John said, as Peter drew a long puff of his cigarette. He's still crapping on a neighbor's lawn. John smiled. So you can do that. You could even go, John said, his friend drawing a long puff of a cigarette. He's still okay. But what is it that I'm doing is I'm placing whatever the Peter into the perspective or the POV of John. As you can see, this is also in the POV of John as well. So sometimes if you're head hopping, it might look like this. He blew it out, and it's like the smoke going into his friend's face. That would be a head hop. Does anyone know why that's a head hop? Or let me see if anyone knows why that's a head hop. If you don't, I'll explain it. But it's little things like that that you should be looking for when you're writing your prose to see what is and what isn't head hopping. However, you're allowed to go into other characters' heads if you do transitions. There is no real transition here, but if there was a transition, you could do that. Jesus did it. Of course he did. Christian romance, and the Lord said, "Come unto me, come unto me." Yeah, I get it now. I'm glad it made sense to you. I really appreciate the question. You know that. Explain it. All right. So John said, his friend, John said he is looking at his friend. He is acknowledging that Peter is his friend within his POV, drawing a long puff of his cigarette. He's still crapping on your neighbor's lawn. John smiled. All right, so this is where it's still in John's POV on the page. When the dog has to go, the dog has to go. This is POV. He blew it out of the side of his mouth. And this is where it head hops. The smoke going into his friend's face. And the reason is because now we are in the POV of Peter without a transition. We are experiencing Peter acknowledging that John is his friend. Okay? However, for clarity, you would write John's face anyway. Okay, or he blew it out to the side of his mouth, the smoke going into for clarity would have to be John's face. Okay, so if you are using the prose and the pronouns, names are a lot easier to really stay in somebody's focus. But if I wrote the smoke going into, well, no, John's face is the clearest form, but his friends then gives ownership to Peter with John. Whereas if it's just into John's face, then John is experiencing the smoke going in his face. I'm not sure. I think it's basically it suddenly switched POV. But yes, it definitely did switch. But the reason it did switch is because of whoop, this part, his friend's face. This is the head hop. It needs to be this. It needs to be John's face. This is a simple explanation of it, but basically that's what it is. Because you shift perspectives without indicating whose perspective. Well, yeah, there's no transition, but that isn't what makes it head hopping per se. The head hopping is that we are now within the switch experiencing the POV through Peter without the transition. Then you might be saying, but Thomas, how do you do a transition? All right. Okay, let's go back. Let's go down further. You and that dog of yours, John said, his friend drawing a long puff of his cigarette. He's still crapping on your neighbor's lawn. John smiled, hitting Peter's arm with a friend. With a fun tap. All right. Peter. Blowing smoke from the side of his mouth. Cloud. And the dog's going to do what it does. So the reason this isn't head hopping is because we have firmly done the transition, hitting Peter's arm with a fun tap, and now Peter shook his head, blowing smoke from the side of his mouth. So it's little tiny transitions like that that allow us to sit in the emotional moment, and you're allowed to do that. This is no, you know how I always talk about how I do cinematic third person limited rotating? That's what that looks like. When you're doing cinematic third person limited rotating, it just means that the camera is on Peter right now. So we are framing Peter in the camera and we are experiencing him in that moment. I don't recommend doing this all the time or often, only because it becomes kind of jarring. But for really important emotional effect, you can do this. You could also do this. This is a fun thing. So, let's say we take this again. Let's say we take this and we stay in John's perspective, right? John laughed, patting his friend on the shoulder. I'll see you soon. All right. You don't need to do that. That's exposition. But anyway, so the switch off here is ultimately that we are now completely framed on Peter. The camera stayed with Peter, and John left the scene. So even if John entered the scene, John, walked down the sidewalk. His friend walking his dog, being pulled along its size and weight. Okay, So now it starts off in John's POV, you know, hey, you and that dog of yours, right? And then, it's all right, whatever it is. John laughed, patting his friend on the shoulder. I'll see you soon, Pete, right? You could even do this. He said, leaving, right? Now, Peter watch is different than Peter sees or saw. And the reason is because watch has intention. So when they talk about filter words like Peter heard, that's different than Peter listened. So intention has agency, filter words don't. But anyway, so Peter watched John head off. He sat in the cloud, or he stood. He stood in the cloud of smoke bellowing in a gust of wind. All right, and then I could go into an emotional thing. But so you can do that too. And now we could actually just keep the scene going with Peter and him walking his dog. And he could do whatever he wants. So you could start scenes off with one character. But you got to remember, as soon as John leaves, it's a new scene. So make sure that John's scene has a beginning, middle, and end. Okay? And by the way, technically, this is a conflict because we're challenging Peter's position or love for his dog and his hatred for the neighbor. It's a very small challenge, but it is a very small conflict. But anyway, so then John would leave, and then Peter would start a new scene, even though there's no clear chapter break or hard chapter break or soft chapter break. But I will add, if you do that, make sure that the whole chapter also contains a beginning, a middle, and end. Anyway, I hope that helped. What I missed here? Because you... Oh, we did that one. Thank you very much. Anytime, Ro. Be funnier if he was really the one crap. That would be funny. That would be a funny twist or reveal. That would be very funny. Going for a smoke now. Be right back. You're welcome, Sean. Or the neighbor crapping on his own lawn and blaming it on the dog. Actually, it'd be funny if they're both shitting on each other's lawn because maybe Peter's like, my dog isn't crapping on his lawn. You know what? I'm just going to crap on his lawn to prove, you know, like, I don't know, just as a war. That'd be funny. Sean, no crapping on your neighbor's lawn. Looks like Peter's the one blowing one out on the lawn. Hey-o! I do what I want. That's funny. Oh, yes, that would have a lot of emotional effect. For sure. Absolutely, by the way. I think the bog paper might give you away. Oh. So my favorite anime, Yu-Gi-Oh!, I think that's how you say it, has minor villains throughout the 5 seasons, but the main villain is called King Thief Zork. Excellent. I did not know that. Is that how tension is built by... Yes. But tension is just, by the way, tension is the lack of resolve to a conflict or problem that is presented. That's all tension is, by the way. I know you're making a joke, but my teacher brain is going off. So tension is just the context or start of the conflict and or problem that leads to the resolve. So will it or won't it resolve is the tension. Woof! Hey, what's up, Afghani? Me, myself, and Irene. Oh, that's a great movie. I must try that tomorrow, first thing in the morning. Oh, God. Tension is probably to constipation. Accurate. What the heck is going on? All right. Let's go back. We got a couple minutes before, so let's go back up here. Look at all these examples. Let's put that there just so I have it. All right. Whip. 10. Olivia is brought in handcuffed in a jumpsuit. Prison. Oh, by the way, chapter 10 is technically plot point 10. So we are officially starting Act 2. We are in Act 2. Act 2. Hello, Afghani. I finished. Hey, there we go. Congratulations on finishing a chapter. I'm very proud of you, man. That's great work. Very good examples. Sorted my head out. Thank you. You are welcome, Flowers, anytime. You know I love the questions. You know I love being able to help. Hey, oh, thanks for correcting me. Thanks for correcting me here to learn. Anytime. Think I'm gonna go back to outlining now. I hope so. And I want to know your journey because you know we're here to love and we're here to elevate to celebrate. And I always like to hear what it's like for people to outline or do, their approach and stuff like that. Could I end my first book at the beginning of Act 2 for book 2? All right, Hannah, here's the answer, okay? You could do anything you want because you're the writer, it's your book, and there are always rules you could break, but make sure it's purposeful. However, from a narrative standpoint, the answer is no. And the reason is because if you end at Act 2, then the book is only one act long. And every narrative in the world, whether you use acts or not, have to have a beginning, a middle, and end. So they have to set something up, then they have to challenge that setup, and then they have to resolve that challenge. However, if you just set up stuff and then you end the book, nothing happens in the book. So my advice to you is to write a complete and full narrative. If you can take your first act and turn that into a beginning, a middle, and end, and now what you're doing is you're pulling into a smaller section of a bigger story and you're creating a series. However, that doesn't mean you can't end your first book, okay, with the potential of future. Remember, every book must resolve with the potential for future, meaning like even though this narrative's done, we can't assume the characters vanish after this. The characters lived before the book happened, and the characters are going to continue living after the book. Again, cool Afghani, congratulations. If you end at Act 2, I'm calling the yes, absolutely, because it doesn't. You would the reader wouldn't read your second book because they'd be like, "What just happened? There's nothing. You ended it. We just got into the good stuff." I'm gonna. I mean, I mean. It's good stuff. Good stuff. It's good stuff. I will say this though. And if they use an axe, it could get quite gruesome. As that's true. What Flowers said. I love you guys. All right. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Laura Olivia is brought in with handcuffs. No, they toss her against. Ditto with the examples. Now I know what head hopping is, and it was naught to do with that. First of all, crapping on someone's lawn, you could get over. You could just blame it on something. But crapping on somebody's toilet is a choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, because to get on that, that's a choice. All right. All right. They don't believe him. Now, by the way, one of the rules of narrative writing is you shouldn't. You can break rules, but you shouldn't add new information beyond the midpoint conflict. So you're allowed to build and explore the context of the narrative and the world in Act 1. And then what you do is you use the beginning of Act 2 to add new characters, but also to add new context that sort of shifts and reframes the information we presented in Act 1. So that's why we're allowed to add the warden and the prison here, because we are ultimately in Act 2, the beginning, right? So all right, which brings me to my note. I have a note. All right. Because I believe the other planet isn't named until. Oh, you know what? here. Watch this. Watch this. All right. Let's go to the planet names. Okay. I believe it's 4, but so now in chapter 4, I have already mentioned the third planet, and we'll be able to go to that planet. I plan to gift the book by flowers to a friend for Christmas. Ooh, I love that. Before I buy off Amazon, I was wondering if the Beard had any pull with the author to get a signed copy. The Beard. Well, you'd have to talk to the Beard and Flowers. um, SB, I don't know if your friends on the Facebook group. It's a private group. Here, let me get the group for you. I'll give you the link. And by the way, anyone who wants to join, just go there. And if you are, I'm sorry if I forgot, but there's the link. Just go there, and then you and Flowers could talk through there, and then maybe connect. And that's what the Beard suggests. And potentially, um, you can. Oh, speaking of, hey, boom, Sean and Diana. All right, so but there, maybe you guys could connect, and maybe Flowers could hook you up. Maybe, I don't know. All right, example. Act 1 is my and Act 2 is my where my character. All right, but the book should go into Act 2. So, Act 1 would set up the hot realm of purity, and then Act 2 would go into the I don't know, the realm of Faradom, Oasis, and explore that. However, if you only want to play in the purity of honesty in book 1, just make book 1 a full narrative. Have a beginning, a middle, and end. That's Carla's son's mom, isn't it? Yes. Other shells as the 7 deadly sins. Woo! I need to create a Facebook account. Oh, um, if you're on Instagram, Flowers is on Instagram as well. As am I. As everybody. I think you followed me on Instagram, did you? All right. Sorry, my brain gets all like. Okay, so here is another thing. So I went back and I seeded that, and as you can see, I just went to chapter 4. Right now we're on chapter 10, and I just added this little seed because I need this planet to be mentioned in the narrative before we bring the planet into perspective later. Now, this is the good news. If you mentioned something earlier, you can then expand on it in Act 3, and it's earned. It's not just random information. You just gave me an idea. Awesome. I hope that's good. That might just do. Hey, I did it with the epic fantasy. It was originally 1 book, and then it went into 3, and then it turned into 4, and then it turned into 5. I need to catch up with the rest of the world. You're not the only one, SB. You're not the only one. I'm in. Yeah, Sean, I think I just accepted. I didn't see it the other day, so I just accepted it into the Facebook group. All right, continues to build. Oh, let's see if we could add the planet again. Now, the reason I said payoff is because if I mention something, this could lead to a payoff because maybe they know somebody. It's because my goal when I'm writing something is I definitely want any information presented to potentially have narrative movement and not be throwaways. But that doesn't mean you can't have throwaways. For example, um, if you write a character and they mention their father, it doesn't mean that their father has to be in the narrative. Okay, if you mention that they worked, they worked several different weird jobs, you don't necessarily have to allow those jobs to pay off or that they do those jobs. It's just informing the reader that A, somebody has a father, and B, they don't have a stable life. They're constantly changing jobs or whatever the case is. To seed it, that information could just be character development. It doesn't always have to lead to narrative resolve. Cool things anytime, sir. How to Get Your Dog to Crap on Your Neighbor's Lawn by Carla's son. Apparently, it's flying out the back door. Hey, man, shit happens. All right. This kind of crap I'm talking about. Okay. You know what? You know what? My man, my man's got a beard like a billy goat. Hoop hoop is the sound of the disco call. All right. Maybe have the warden comment about prison on this on planet. Comment. Maybe have the warden comment that the prison on the planet from Act 3 is full and she's lucky. I feel like dancing. Do, 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 do. Do. They lock her up. Laura is nervous. She's nervous in her cell with her cellmate. Another example of a new character being introduced at the right time is obviously we're in chapter 10, which is the new world, and we're meeting the new cellmate. We got a minute left. Let me finish this chapter. Which leads her to think about the love interest. Food is not really her style. There we go. All right. All right, there we go. Boom. All right. Let's see. We ended on 11. Ended here. Ended there. Ended everywhere. All right. Okay, everybody. All right. Little by little, I've come to this point. On my own, I've been searching my way. I'm dancing so early, the days went so fast. You don't know how I prayed every day. All right, everybody. Let's see. What do we got? We got. Let's do it. Let's get into it. Ooh. Oh, by the way, does anyone have any questions? Do you have any questions about what I did today, about the process, etc., etc., etc.? Boop, boop, boop. Man, we're getting through this. We're getting through this. I'm pretty excited about it. All right. Well, with that said, let's go into the poll. The poll, what slows you down the most while revising? We got doubting your choices. We got reworking sentences. We got re-outlining scenes. And of course, we have fear of cutting stuff. Now, according to the poll, we have the lowest on the rank is re-outlining scenes. I would agree with that because, you got to be a heavy outliner. But honestly, by the time you're writing, if you have to re-outline scenes, it's not really that big of a deal because it's just adjusting little things here and there. You're not doing a full rework per se. You're just sort of like making sense of things. Fear of cutting stuff. Interesting. That's 17%, third on the list. I like that though. That makes sense because we can break through the fear. We could just be like, whatever. Just my advice though, and if you follow my Patreon and the scribe tier, you would know that I talk about this within the lessons, and it's ultimately, if you're going to cut something or you're afraid to cut something, just cut it, but save it in a new document. Save the scene, make sure you document the scene, and just cut it out, because as long as it's saved somewhere, you could always put it back in. I also like to make a new file when I'm moving on to the next edit. So basically from the zero chapter draft, from the zero draft chapter outline, I'm going to make a new file, and that's going to become the first draft, and so forth and so on. But if I'm going to cut something, I usually just save it and put it to another thing. So the fear of cutting, I used to have trouble with that myself, but then I just started going the hell with it. Cut and put it over here. As long as you save it, who cares? I didn't vote for I haven't revised my story yet. Have you revised any stories? Or this is your first story, huh? Doubt, full stop. Doubt. Ooh, yes. Well, it looks like that's the number one choice. Doubting your choices. I'm going to actually talk about that. But reworking sentences, I think that's what slows me down the most, is the reworking sentences, only because when I get to that point, which is like my third draft, that's really where I'm doing the work, where I'm the reworking sentence work, where I'm like, is this sentence working? Blah, 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 and cleaning that up. But doubting your choices is something that is it's devastating to writers. It keeps them from moving forward. But the honest answer to doubting your choices, I'll end the poll, by the way. Doubting your choices, okay? The way to break that doubt is to remember you're not the judge. The readership is. And you need to give the writing to beta readers or alpha readers first to recognize the foundational elements of the narrative and make sure that it makes sense. And then you write your novel. You make sure that you go into your drafts and you clean them up. Just keep making choices. But if you're saying to yourself, I can't make this choice, or I doubt this choice, or this choice isn't good, you can't be the judge of it. A comedian might know something is or isn't funny just because they've worked so hard at becoming intuitive to that, and eventually you will. I'm talking about the royal you, everybody out there. Writers will become more intuitive the more they make choices and the more they accept their choices, but the more they get feedback. So when a comedian goes on stage for the first time and tells a joke, they don't know what funny is. They only know what they think funny is. And they have to go, what I think and what I know, and there's a learning curve, and it comes together the more you're on stage. And the reason is because the more people are laughing at your concepts, or your setups, etc., they're going, or your premises, you're going to start recognizing, okay, because of my experience doing this over and over again, I know that this is funny, but now I have to work it. And then I need the audience to confirm it. And that's the same thing with writing. And that's why we have beta readers. We do not use beta readers to help us fix the story. That's what an alpha reader does. An alpha reader is there to help make sure the narrative makes sense. The beta reader is the experience. What are they enjoying? Do they like the prose? Do they like the characters? Are they enjoying where the plot is going? Did they see things coming? Do they feel you subverted anything? Are the things that you hid being seen? All the experience things, right? it it's that relationship with the beta readers, or even regular readers, by the way, after the beta readers. Like, if you're getting positive reviews and people are like, oh my god, I love your stuff, and blah blah blah, and they're not friends and family, that's a really good barometer, a good way to decide if your choices were right. But it's going to take a while, and you have to risk failure to get there. And my straightforward advice to this is make a choice and stand by it. If you come up with it, what really you're doing is you're just making the choice, putting it down, and then when you do the work, when you go to the next draft, when you go to the edit, it's your job to then go, does this choice narratively work? Does it make sense? Is there context? Is it logical narrative movement? Is it adding to plot forward, character development, or world building, right? These are the questions you ask to justify the choice you made. And if it is solidified by at least the majority of those answers, you made the right choice as a writer, right? But you have to, this is the thing. Writers out there, if you make a choice and then you doubt it, and then you change the choice and then you doubt it, and then you change the choice, if you keep changing the choices, you'll never find the confidence in your voice. So you have to at least make a choice, stand by it, do the editing stuff, which is different than the doubting. Editing is like once you have the full picture and you're taking notes and you're looking at it in the grand scheme of things, right? You're going to start developing that too. But just make a choice, stand by it, see where the narrative goes. The other thing you can do is just make 3 choices, right? And then make 3 choices on those choices before you write anything deep and big. Here's 3 choices for something. Let me see how that goes. Let me brainstorm that. Where does that go? Oh, 3 more choices, 3 more choices. And that's sort of how you create that cause and effect in the fan of narrative, right? So those are exercises you could do just to sort of get the confidence and the conviction of making choices. But the other thing is you could always change it, so you're not beholden to anything either. So that doubt is the fear that is not good. That doubt is, do I know what I'm doing? The doubt is, does this work? The doubt is things that you have no control over until you present it to somebody or you start making convictions. That's something that took me a long time to get out of my head, to get out of that fear. So it's not something where, like, every writer starts off and they're like, unless of course they are writers, where they're just like, oh, my stuff is perfect because I wrote it and every choice I make is excellent. They don't have doubt. They should have a little bit, but they don't need editors. They don't need readers. They don't need, this book is done. It's I didn't even have to write it out. It's just the outline. Here, read it. But doubt is a scary thing. So I can understand why that was first. I hope my answer helped. Just for everybody. What do we got here? What do we got? Oh, I find it difficult when outlining to tell if I am rushing things. Are there tips you have for covering the info you need so that the reader knows what is going on, but still leave things to reveal later on? That's a great question. All right, so you're asking, are there tips you have for covering the info, specifically in outlining? So, Sean, if you haven't done so already, this series and pretty much every video I have on outlining does go a little into this, but just as a quick aside, there are several steps to outlining. Okay, so there's short form, right, and then there's extended, and then of course there's the zero draft chapter outline. Okay, so my tips are this. This should be short, 1 to 5 sentence summaries of plot beats. Okay. This extends on those plot beats, creating potential chapter splits. Okay. And then these are the driving chapter plot points, or plot beats, I should say, and rhythm. Okay. So to answer your question more directly, now that we have that there, you're asking, are there tips you have for covering info? So when it comes to the short form outline, plot points 1 through 9 is Act 1. Okay. So everything that people need to know as a reader, the context, right? Remember, context is king. Okay. Everything that people need to know needs to go into Act 1, but that doesn't mean everything needs to go into the beginning of Act 1. So my first tip to you is that whatever you feel is important for the reader to understand, so that Act 2 can not only build, reframe, and challenge ideas, and also to resolve the idea in Act 3, is to take all that information that would be necessary to pay those moments off in Act 2 and 3, and then just break it up throughout the 9 plot points. Now, keep in mind, you can then, like plot point 1 can be 1 to 7 chapters, right? Especially depending on the POVs. Meaning, if you have one POV running your entire story, I would probably not go further than 5 chapters. If you have 2 POVs, 7 is fine. If you have 3 or 4, now you could reach up to 12. But remember, secondary POVs don't necessarily need full chapters dedicated to their plot points. So that's something to keep in mind. But anyway, so you might have to set up the ordinary world. So if you're looking at the plot points, so plot point 1 is ordinary world, you have to say to yourself, what sets up the context for the ordinary world and their status quo? You have to figure out what that information is, which is basically my second tip. Is it's your job to understand, what does the world look like before it's disrupted, and that all goes into plot point 1. And then you get to use the rest of the act of first act, to basically manipulate and mess with that status quo, but also continue to add on information. Who's the antagonistic force? What is this world about? What are the rules? Is there magic or no magic? Are there vampires or no vampires? Do people fish here, or are fish dead? Right? All that could be explored throughout the entire of Act 1. But the important information should go into plot point 1. Who is your protagonist? What do they want? What is their world? What are their rules before the disruption? So those are the 2 different variations of context you're asking about. There is basically narrative context, which would take up the entirety of Act 1, and then there's protagonist context, which would take up plot point 1, whether that's 1 chapter or 12 chapters. I hope that helped. Fun fact, all that is answered and explored in Say it with me, everybody. The 27 plot point outline book. All right. All right. What do we got? We got more. I've been saving cuts in a new tab in my doc. Google Docs is awesome. I agree. It is fantastic, especially because of the tab option you're talking about. That really does make it helpful. I have so many different folders and files for every book. Everyone says use Scrivener, but honestly, Google Docs gets the job done. Plus, with Google Docs, I could have my phone. I could be sitting waiting in the an office somewhere, or like at a whatever. I could be out and about, and I could just be, I have an idea, and just pop it in. This story is my very first one that I've been working on for a year now. That's awesome. And if it makes you feel any better, some people take even longer to write books, and it's not about how long it takes you to write a book. It's about you working on the book, you basically get into the book. But I will say, write. At some point you're gonna have to make the choice to write the book. Can you remind me about your new course next year? I think I blooped my noggin with all the lawn crapping. Yes. Yeah. So the new course, which basically is starting when it's starting. If somebody signs up, I'll start the first class. Um, but it's basically it's a private class, but there'll be people in it. The idea is that it grows, and within that class, you can either just be somebody who observes it, that sits in, and you could ask questions, but you could watch what I do, which is the second element of it. People can hand in a chapter. If the chapter's like 300,000 words, I'm only going to work on a little bit of it. But during the 90 minutes, I'm going to try to do 3 different people, and I'm going to look at it. And then based on the participant, if they're like, hey, can you look at the logical narrative movement? I will simply just break down logical narrative movement within the scene or the chapter. If you're looking for prose, like writing cleaner, smoother prose, if you want me to look at character development, whatever the case is, I'm going to do that in real time as a developmental editor would. And the goal is that I'm teaching you not only how to look at the pages and what to look for and how to basically analyze stuff, but I'm also doing the work in real time. There is a third option for people who are a little self-conscious, which I completely understand, where they can watch and observe, ask questions, and be a part of it. But then they could also send me their chapters outside the class, and then I'll just give you notes. I'll break it down and give you notes in that sense. So that's the basis of the class. Class. However, if you're interested, reach out to me privately through the email, and I'll talk to you about some stuff about it. All right. All right. So, geez, you crap on one lawn, and no one will ever let you live it down. It was 3 lawns, but let's be honest, it was I couldn't make it home. I was just buy it when it comes out. I am very close to finishing. I thought I'd be done today. I don't know. I am going to work on it. For an hour after this, and then I'm going to work on for an hour at night. So I might get another. I don't know. When I was talking to Emma earlier, I was working on it for like 30 or 40 minutes, and I got whatever it was, like 15 or 1600 words worked out. But my goal is I'm very close, and I'm excited about that. I love that I had no idea about the tabs option. Oh, it's right on the left though when you look at it. Tabs. Boop. Tabs. See, you can just creep, then you can just go to the tabs. See? Then you can delete them. Boop. Delete the tab. Delete the tab. Delete the tab. How do I delete this one? What's going on? Oh, I added something. Well, you get the point. Oh, that's fine. Okay. All right, what do we got? Scrivener has a high. It does. Yes, it is a very high learning curve, and sometimes it freezes my PC. Only completely eats what I wrote. That's a headache. Yeah. Control S is like I had the habit of hitting Control S, which is basically save. Like every time I like wrote a sentence, I was Control S'ing, and then Google just made it so I didn't have to Control S everything. Okie dokie. Yeah, please do. And also, speaking of okie dokie, obviously, Flowers, you could email me if you're interested in about it. You can email me as well. Because I got. And I convinced you to chop a load. That's what she said. So that saved you time. That did save me time. But I had already edited that. because those are earlier chapters. I'm already on chapter whatever it is. I'm like near the end. So I edited it. I wrote them and edited them. But at least they're gone. So when I do the third draft, which by the way, when I say drafts, it doesn't mean I rewrite the whole book. It just means I'm going to go through and I have a new task of when I'm what I'm looking for when I read through it. I saw tabs I never dared touch. See, you got to be a little bit more adventurous, all right, Emma? There's an emoji option for tabs. What the? Would I need that? Hey, you never know. You never know. Got it. Thanks. By the way, I would love to be involved in the workshops, but I will have to wait for future sessions. Will you post it to YouTube after the fact? So because it will be going over people's works, I will not be posting it on YouTube. However, there will be a Patreon tier that you can basically you would just be able to watch the previous videos, because that'll be anybody who's a part of the class, the workshop, will have that option, so they could go back and rewatch things and listen to it. But that will be quote unquote private to anyone who is not on that tier. I saw, I touched, I got nabbed by the beesies. It's not my fault you didn't check with me about those chapters before. You know what it is? I mean, you're so busy, I don't want to ever bother you, you know, because I know that I could be slightly distracting, you know, but I want, you're writing, you got a book you're editing, you got a book you're writing, you got another book you're editing, you got, you know, you're dancing, you're doing dog walks, you know. I know I could be very distracting. And then the beard on top of that, you'll get nothing done. I love the emoji part. I can assign it an emoji for different things, like a world for world building. Ooh, yeah, that's cool. It's true. Yeah, that's right. You can do that, right? Yeah, add an emoji. Boom, boom. That is cool. It's a really good idea. I only touch the buttons I need. Why would I randomly? Because sometimes you need to explore the options to see if it is something you like. You can't just be like, oh, it's a button I don't want to touch. You got to be willing to. It's not going to hurt you. It might feel weird at first, but I assure you, buttons, that's why. You don't ever want to bother me. Massive fail. Exactly. Buttons are meant to be pushed. Stop touching me. Ma, he's touching me. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. All right, what do we got here? I guess that's it. I am a king of honor, golden glory, but every king must also die. I have been just righteous with his glory. All right, let's keep it going. Oh, I played that game with my unwilling brother. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. That's the I have a sibling game. All right. Other than that, for anyone who's not been here or for the past videos, let's do it. We got to get it out of the way because why not, you know? Boom. MakeItRightLeftHere.com. If you don't know, I have some books available. The outlining book is in process, as we all know, but Death of a King is the epic fantasy book one. It is currently available exclusively on my Patreon account, the Scribe tier, but it is not just chapters. You also get to see the evolution of the book. You get notes, and you get some insight into me as a writer, as well as how to use this knowledge to put it to your book as well. For anyone who is a part of the Scribe, remember you also get the first 2 tiers of Patreon, and then of course there will be not only a class that's coming up, but some other things. The workshop is different than the class. The class is a pre-record. It'll just be, you know, videos that are pre-recorded, and it's a full-on class. The first one will be about outlining itself. And then obviously I have the Breaking Down Success series, the foundation for longevity. So if you haven't done so, bloop the beard, bloop the like button, zing zang, zoom zoom, boom boom. My wife is a master button pusher. Well, that's why she's your wife. You guys are in love, you know? I stopped playing that game with my bro after stabbing me in the leg with a dart. Woo! I guess they won. I am touching you. Well, I hope that was it healed. All right. Can you can you advertise your poetry book? I guess I could, but I don't think anyone cares about my poetry. My poetry. He hath but a word or two. Do I even have it? Poetry. I don't know. Yeah, this is an old book though. I wrote this book just for the fun. If you want to know, I wrote this book because I had gotten cancer in 2016, as one does. Technically, I had cancer in 2014. I just didn't know about it because it was growing in me. So I wrote this as I promised to sort of like, hey, I beat cancer. So then I was like, let me take all my poems, my song lyrics that I like from my band days, and then philosophical musings from the Telmo and Altaning character, which is technically connected to the epic fantasy stuff. And I put it into this huge tome. Well, it's not huge. It's probably 200. What is this? 200 and something words. 230 words. But yeah. So this is. I'm not really. I mean, I am a poet, but I'm not like, hey, buy my poetry. This was more of like, do the things on your bucket list. Because I almost didn't do this. I almost died. So I did a lot. I did a lot of stuff. The only thing I haven't done so far on my bucket list is I haven't visited Ireland or gone to Sicily. Those are the last things, but I'm working on that. All right. I just named my shadowy figure. Did you name them shadowy? Emma. Look at Emma go. Kindle Unlimited. Oh, it isn't. Isn't it? I think it's on Kindle. I had cancer 10 years ago in my right groin area, and you beat it? Oh, that gets a huge applause. Everybody, congratulations on your victory. Congratulations. Yeah, cancer is not fun. So I'm really happy you beat that. I'm happy you're here today, and I'm happy you're writing. Cancer. It's a son of a bitch. Glad you won the battle. I'm glad I did too. I lost a little bit of inside stuff. But who needs things? You don't need things. Whatever. It's just meat. All right. Hey, his name is Threadvale. Yes, I beat it. That's wonderful. I love that you beat it. And a fun name, Threadvale. Threadvale. Let's see if I can find the poem I like. Where's my poem I really like? I think it's I forget the poem itself because this book is hard to read sometimes. Where the hell is it? Tranquility. 20? Chapter 20. Page 20? Page 20? I don't know. How come I can never find it? You miss someone so much. All right. There's also sex poems in here, so just a warning. Just a warning. They're not all sex poems. It was a bit of filling you didn't need. Yeah, that's true. I didn't need it. Honestly, I lost like 5 to 10 pounds afterwards. To be fair, though, the tumor was the size of my fist. It was a little bit bigger than that, and it took up a lot of my right side. I was like, why can't I feel my legs, and why am I feeling like I'm dying? It was crazy. Yeah, right? Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, after the surgery, that's why my belly's messed up. And yeah, I know. Cancer's a son of a bitch. It's the dumbest thing in the world. Oh, thanks. Thank you, Sean. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's been years. It's next year, the 2026 July 2026 will be will be 10 years. Right? Yeah, 10 years. Yeah, I had oh. Wow. And my 6-pack became a 5-pack. Well, I mean, that's fair. Yeah, I don't have a stomach and I don't have like a anything. It's just as I was really muscular when I was, in my 30s, and then after cancer, it's the whole stomach, the muscles didn't heal right, and the inside didn't heal right. But I'm so glad that you survived that. That's a yeah. My cousin actually just had surgery for that too. So oof. You look surprised when you looked at that page. Did you forget about the sex bones? I did. I did. I had my head opened up. I was lucky they found a brain. I'm clearly. You're not supposed to make me laugh when you're telling me about these things, Flowers. I'm glad you're here though. I'm glad it worked out. Well, yeah. Woo, head stuff is yeah, head stuff is woo. I got married and my 6-pack turned into a cake. That means you're in love, bro. That's what happens when you're in love. You just go, yeah, I'll have an extra donut. I got the woman of my dreams or the man of my dreams, and I don't need to go for a walk. But sometimes I used to be in such good shape. But sometimes when we're out there, like I want a cuddly bear. I want somebody with meat. I want to be able to hug somebody. Ew, I had such. I had such a larf tonight. Party 7, Sean. Glad you got through it, M and Hannah. Yeah, for everybody. Congratulations on those, because just and some people just don't understand. They don't understand the journey. Like I had a friend that's no longer my friend. They were just like, "Why are you?" They're like, "It's been like 6 months, bro. Like, cheer up. You lived." And I'm like, I don't think you understand. Like I'm not as physical as I'm not who I used to be. I'm a different experience. Because when they found it, they were like 3 weeks later they had to take it out. I couldn't even do a treatment. They had to just cut me open and just take stuff. So you know, you got a lot of. I still remember when they were like, "Yeah, you got cancer." I was like, "What the hell?" But whatever. Not everyone's friend material is all I'm saying. I'm trying to look for that poem because it's a short poem. It's very short. There are very long poems in here, but here, Plead of Screams. All right. The poem is called Plead of Screams. And he saw what he knew was true by a mile, her mind covered in passion sadly without guile, while she gazed away life out the window toward morning mystery, her head on a pillow, sneaking in colors of dark orange with flutters, where pleads of screams cried to faint mutters. He walked up behind her and gave life to a smile, with his arm softly holding her just for a while. His kiss upon her head and rays of peace now fed what this all could have meant to her had he not been dead. Okay. I love that poem. Because it's a twist. There you go. All right. True love. True love. True love gets. That's right. True love is getting old and fat together. Hell yeah. True love is like, I think I just get, did you just fart? Yeah, because I love you. My friends got banned from visiting me in the hospital because they made me laugh so much I split my stitches. That's funny. Thank you, Sean. Heart. Oh, hey, awkward. And hey, hello. It's 2 a.m. here. Wow. Oh, does that mean you are? And just because I'm trying to understand some of the audience, that's in India, right? Because isn't that 8 hours? No, it's 10 hours. Oh, it's 9 hours from the east coast of the states, right? And I think you're 4 hours ahead of England. I could be wrong on that. Yeah, see, I'm pretty good with that. I got it going. Thank you for sharing that, Thomas. Hey, no problem. I think you're referring to the story of trial and not necessarily the poem. Unless you are, unless you're referencing the poem. I did enjoy reading that poem. Poems. Hello, awkward. It isn't awkward, but we're happy to see you. Oh, both. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. What else we got here? Pure melody. No, I don't want to read that. Do 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 do. All right, this one is called Question. Question. Oh, hey man. Well, what we did is the first hour was we were working on Write a Book with Me, and I showed the behind the scenes. As you can see, we were doing notes and stuff like that. But after an hour, then we sit and we just chill. We have fun. I answer questions. If you have questions about writing, your writing, or writing in general, feel free to ask them. I will happily answer those questions. But usually we hang out and chill. We chill for like another 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how fun it is. Ro brought up my poetry books, and I'm just reading. I'm going to read another poem called Question. Question. It's about that time again when I randomly go off on something that has no meaning, no sense, no understanding. It's simply deliberate, but has no effect on either party at this particular time or space. But the point of the matter is that we're at a standstill, with one eye open on the lower part of one's head. This does not, nor could it, stop us from ever talking about the way the water moved over sand all those years ago, creating drifts in the lands, the creation of winds, and holding breaths of life's calling. So basically, that is a pro. It's not necessarily like your traditional poem where it's like, green eggs and ham. If you read them all, Thomas, then no one will buy Thomas's poetry. But I don't expect people to buy it anyway. It's oh, there's also like funny little asides. At one point, I mentioned that. Oh, here's an. They have. I have. It's annotated. The book is annotated, so it says, "If you give up on yourself, then you have no one else to blame." TJB is my quote. Who wrote this? There's a lot more sex poems than I thought. All right, well, that's about it. Anyway. All right, everyone. Got anything else to add? We got any little badooms, or are we done for today? We done for today. Jesus, what happened there? Oh well, that's what she said. Oh, let me do the. Let me. What is on the schedule? What is on the schedule? So next week, let's do that real quick, and then we'll call it a day. All right. And every week I say the same thing. Wow, this time is flying by. It's the 9th. Jesus. All right. I am creating a Facebook account right now. That I'll be ready to share next week. Awesome SB. Please, yes, let us know. Let us know. Most of my poems were written to girls in high school or about being depressed. I mean, let's be honest, girls in high school And our unrequited love brought on depression. Been there. Woo! But I'm glad you wrote those. That's the thing, like depression or pain or love. The idea that it creates art, because I say it all the time, where I believe that art, whether that's painting, writing, music, art is the soul of the world. It's the conscious, it's the thoughts, it's the ideas, it's the things that make us go deeper and wonder. Coolio. All right. So I do 2 pre-records, and Wednesday will be All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. It's a young adult, contemporary young adult romance. That is the prose of the prose. I will be going over the prose and analyzing the prose of the first page in not real time, real time, but it's pre-recorded. And then Friday will be a video on world building exercises and prompts. So if you want some exercises and prompts to help you with world building, that will be Friday. Saturday, so Saturday is actually going to go over narrative tone shifts and mood shifts that are uncomfortable. So I'm going to basically in real time on Saturday, I'll do a live video where I'm going to show where like tones, when tones kind of like, they don't really fit within a scene, and how to maintain tones, but also how to shift tones. So how to make something dramatic, but also allow humor. How do you make something humorous, but also sad? How do you make romance? Not, whatever. So that's what we're going to go over. So that's what next week is. Been there, done that. Home. The t-shirt, cried myself to sleep, got married and cried. My dad used to always tell me, don't talk to women or kids. And I would say, but Dad, why? And he'd always say, Tom, listen, if you talk to women, they give you kids. And I go, but Dad, you had kids. And he goes, exactly. That's a joke for the day. That's it. I think I'm done. I think I had lots of fun. Did everyone have fun today? I think we had fun today. This was good. Exactly. I get every joke I have, all my humor comes from my papa. My papa dappa doopa, my daddy wappy whoopee. All right. Other than that, we are done today, so let's do it. Let's talk and say goodbye as we always do. Wait, I'm on the wrong thing. 1 second. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I'm Thomas J. Bellezza, and as always, keep developing the right mindset. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Much love.